Hey everyone, welcome to my cathedral garden. Today we are talking about a second grade recap, so come along. If you are new here, my name is Kristen. I am a homeschooling mama to 4 kiddos, and this past year I had a 4th grader, a 2nd grader, a kindergartner, and a 3-year-old. And today we are talking about my 2nd grader's year and what he did, what we liked, what worked well, what was just okay, all of those things, just kind of a recap of his subjects that were individualized for 2nd grade this year. Okay, let's hop right into what was just okay, what worked decently, but we either switched up this year or we'll be switching next year. So the first thing I want to talk about is teaching textbooks. We did try that. It worked okay. They were learning and they were getting the information and passing their tests, all of that stuff. As a mom that was very busy this year, I loved the ease of it. The ease of saying, here is your math, go do it. And for this kid who is more auditory than his 4th grade brother, it worked very well for him. We did end up switching because when they went to their newest updated version, it wouldn't work on our very old laptop anymore. And so that was kind of a bummer. Also, both boys were missing pencil and paper math. We ended up going with Horizons. I just went to Mardell and bought book 1 and book 2 for 2nd grade. I did not buy the teacher's manual. If you weren't comfortable with just looking at what was upcoming for the lesson and figuring out a way to teach that, then maybe you would need that. I have found the Horizons teacher manuals to not be very helpful, and especially in a way of like instructing the teacher how they are to teach the concept. That mainly just goes over the objective that the student is learning. At least that was my experience with the 3rd grade teacher's manual. But it was really easy just to go through and figure it out and teach them. Horizons is a spiral method, so they're gonna learn a new concept and then they're gonna work on some older ones, and then the next time they'll learn something new and then work on the concept that they learned before, so on and so forth. I knew that we would like Horizons. He did it with 1st grade, and I really do like it all the way up until 3rd grade. So this just went pretty easily. Time things. We did start it later, about the end of November, December, so towards the end of that first semester. So we did not get all the way through book 2, but that is just what we are going to work on throughout this summer before we head into the next school year, and that is just fine with me. So teaching textbooks was okay. We ended up just going with Horizons and made it a lot smoother. Okay, the next thing that was just okay, I was not impressed with the Good and the Beautiful level 3 handwriting. Now I know he is in 2nd grade and I bought level 3 handwriting, but I had begun teaching him cursive at the end of last year using Abeka. But I was intrigued by and liked the things on the Good and the Beautiful because of how they incorporate the drawing practice, and I thought a few of my kids would really like that. I knew I did not want it for kindergarten or 1st grade because I didn't like the way that they formed some of the letters, and so I got him this, which was like a mix between print, which he still did need some work on just to make sure that he was forming his letters beautifully. He knew how to form them, but I wanted him to concentrate on the way they looked. And I thought it would teach him cursive, and it did kind of. I wish I would have just stuck with the Abeka for 1 more year because I feel like he did not have a very good grasp of cursive towards the end. For example, this is towards the end, and they're still not really connecting very many letters, making phrases, making words. So here they started connecting like 2-letter phrases and words, but not a whole lot. So what is good about this is that it is pretty student-led for the most part. You follow the rainbow order. So you're gonna start, it's at the top of every page. Here it is. Let me see, it'll focus for you. And so you'll start at the red dot, then move to the orange dot, so on and so forth for learning your letters. So they can figure it out on their own, which is wonderful. That is a good thing. There's also some dot to dot or some drawing practice at the end of each lesson. If you have a kid that loves that, then this is going to be right up their alley. However, I was not impressed with how quickly or how unquickly they ran through their cursive. I felt like they might have needed just a little bit more time spent and working, I'm not sure, and working through cursive and cursive letters, cursive phrases, all of that stuff. A little bit more repetition and more connection. I feel like he still doesn't know his own cursive. He could not write a word in cursive that he has never seen before and know how to connect all of his letters in the correct way. And this would be at the end of 3rd grade. So I would recommend a Becca for teaching manuscript and cursive until they are proficient, and then moving to the Good and the Beautiful if you have a kid that likes the drawing aspect and the other things, because I do feel like the that part is solid and good. So that was another thing that was just okay. For spelling and phonics, we use Saxon Phonics and Spelling. If you remember in this video that I'll link up in a card up here, I purchased this curriculum for $30 from a private school that was closing its doors. It was shutting down. I'm not pulling out the whole big notebook, they're huge, but this is a lesson, just one of the lessons that were in there. So I grabbed 2 big notebooks and then a packet that had 2 of these, which were their lesson worksheets. And it had a spelling, Saxon Phonics and Spelling, irregular words guide. There were kid cards, which I ended up not using and did not need, as well as these little fluency readers. So kind of went with some of the lessons that you taught. So I felt like that was a really good deal for all of the stuff I got, and it was. And this was another thing that was okay. He did learn a lot. Now this kid is my kiddo that does have some reading difficulties. We're really not sure what those are quite yet. I have some ideas. We do know it's not dyslexia. I did have him tested through our public school system here in Texas. You can do that. And it came back that he did not have dyslexia, but there were a few discrepancies that they thought were strange. He has excellent listening comprehension. In fact, it was above average, while his reading comprehension and certain things were below average for where they should be. So take that into consideration from this. So it was, like I said, it was thorough. They did learn a whole lot, but I felt like it was not hands-on enough, and it was kind of dry and basic. For example, these are just the worksheets that he was doing. Let me see if I can find one. And he would just complete it. So we were coding words and then reading paragraphs and coding words. And there was really nothing for spelling wise in there except for just study these words. Now, granted, this is for a classroom, a school that is sending home work. And so it was up to the parents of that class to make sure that their kid was studying the words every night or whatever. So I would have to come up with my own spelling games, which was fine. And they did go into some rules, but a lot of the time, especially towards the end, it just got into the weeds too much a little bit, and or there would be no rule. It was just, this is the way it is, memorize it. And that is fine, but it became a lot of that, and it's hard to keep straight, especially if you're a kid that's struggling with reading and learning to read, your letters moving, and all kinds of different things that we know that that is what's going on with him in some capacity. So we got pretty far into this curriculum, and we also, at the end of the school year, towards the end of the school year, I started supplementing a little bit with the language arts, one from Christian Lat Education. It's actually meant for first graders, but this is incredibly thorough, and I would just find more of what we have been talking about in the lesson. So for example, this is, let's see if it'll focus. Come on. EA. I don't know if that ever focused or not. So it can say, it's EA that says like feather or deaf or red or head or lead. And it would go through the rules and all kinds of things like that. I have had a homeschool mom tell me that CLE is her easy button. What? And it is very thorough. And there were some rules in here that Saxon said there's not a rule for this, and there were actually rules for it, and those were in here. So it is thorough. They do learn a lot. One of the benefits and drawbacks is that it can get lengthy. The lessons can, but you are getting your writing, your language arts, your penmanship, and your spelling all in one little light unit. So it is a workbook style based learning. Once again, not very kinesthetic if you have a kinesthetic kid, but incredibly thorough. So we did start pulling this out towards the end and supplementing with Saxon where we could. The only thing that would keep me from using this next year with him would be how long the lessons are, but I would see what I can and cannot cut out. We are going to debate that and try and figure out exactly what the right fit is. I also, in May, started using All About Reading Level 2. A sister-in-law of mine had bought it for her kid to use next year, so they weren't using it. So I asked if I could borrow it just so I could once again reinforce and also see if All About Reading worked for him as well as it did for my kindergartner. And he did like it. You are moving a lot more. You're not writing anything down, which that was a big hang up for him. And you're playing different games to reinforce what you've learned. And that did work well. And so I am already looking for that curriculum, and will probably be using it towards the end of that to continue on with his reading for next year. There's a lot that went into his reading. It has always been that way, and I'm just continually searching for the thing that's gonna hopefully turn the key and break into his little brain, especially when it comes to reading and spelling. He actually came so much further in his reading than I ever thought possible. It's still not his favorite thing to do, but I'm so proud of him. Even though I know that there are certain gaps in certain places, he is reading far better than I anticipated him being able to do at the end of this year. So I am proud of him. Saxon did work. All these other things and ways that we supplemented, those worked. The spelling part, I've already said, wasn't my favorite. I didn't feel like that it was very strong at all, and this kiddo is not a natural speller. He is going to need some definite spelling help. So I am looking into a few different things. If you have a suggestion on what would help a kiddo that struggles with reading and with letters and words kind of moving on the page, let me know. I've heard a few different things, and I'm just looking for something that will help his little brain out. So let me know in the comments below something that I can maybe use for next year for him. This brings us to this upcoming year. As I'm recapping and looking back on it, what are the things that I want to change and do better or do more of this next year? Obviously, as I've told you, he is my kid that has more of a struggle with reading, so I want to continue on with some phonics instruction. I think he's going to need that more than his older brother did for a little bit longer, and that is just fine. Like I said, he's doing leaps and bounds over what I thought he could be, and I am totally okay with being patient and letting his little brain just figure it out, and that is just fine by me. But that is something that I will be doing with him. Also, more spelling practice. This is an area where he really struggles, and so I really want to find a curriculum that will speak into that. And then As I said in my 4th graders video, I really want to make sure I incorporate more art and cultural things, and that is going to happen with the use of our family subjects and family curriculums that we choose for this next year. I hope you have enjoyed this recap. If you would like an in-depth flip through either on video here on YouTube, or even if it's just like through direct message on Instagram, please reach out, let me know. I am active over on Instagram. You can find me at My Cathedral Garden, all one word there. You can ask me in a comment below. I love engaging with you guys. It is so amazing. This community is just the sweetest. If you would not mind though, if you have not already, subscribe, doing that right now, that would be amazing. It totally helps out my channel and I would just be incredibly grateful. Also, if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. That lets me know what kind of content you are enjoying and what you want to see more of. And then if you really would like to know anytime I post anything new, don't forget to hit the notification bell down below and it will notify you, there we go, of any new content that I put out. Okay, you guys, until next time, bye.